What's up, guys? It's your favorite executive producer and sometimes host, Sean. We're on the set of Look, Don't Touch here at the Black Home. Today we have a special guest, Neffi Walker. She is a celebrity interior designer and owner of the Black Home. I don't want to steamroll her introduction, so I'll let her give her a little tidbit about herself.
That was really easy segue for you. Okay, so my name is Neffi Walker. I am the owner of the Black Home, which is an interior design company that focuses on the Black cultural experience. Afro Latina that I am, I felt like it was necessary to hold space for us as far as, home is concerned. So that's what we're doing. We have a actual brick and mortar store here in Newark, 7 William Street. So I love it here. And I've worked with a lot of interesting and beautiful people and have done a lot of wonderful, nice homes. So,
We're going to get into that.
Yeah, we'll get into that. But yeah, in a nutshell, that's who I am career-wise.
So for those who are listening and watching, on today's episode, we really want to discuss the nuances of interior design as an art. Does it transcend past a general topic or discussion? And, as an interior designer, we want to know, like, how do you see the world in terms of, like, is everything your canvas? Because for me personally, like, I think that I have a creative mind, but I don't have shit on an interior designer. If we went into a house, it's like you seeing like the matrix in code when you're walking into something. But before we jump into that, I know you kind of gave us a background of who you are career-wise, but being Afro-Latina from Harlem, coming from an environment where you typically don't see people like interior designers or getting into creative and things like that. Would love to get a better understanding of, what inspired you to become an interior designer, because that's not really common for people like us. So
Yeah, I didn't think it was so uncommon until I got into the field.
Okay.
Prior, I was a sports agent,
Okay.
and I was working on basketball camps for the youth. And then I had my fourth child and moved to the suburbs from the city,
Okay.
which was like The Shining. It's really interesting. And just trying to understand what that space looked like and what made me feel comfortable being so out of my element, I got into decorating my household.
Okay.
And that turned into going to a homegirl's house and suggesting this, that, or the third inside of her household. And by the fourth house that I entered of my friend sat me down and said, I think this is, it's a hobby, I feel you, but I feel like this can also be, I think that you found your passion, so maybe you should explore that. And I've been doing that ever since.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Did you draw any inspirations from like the city elements of it, and then, or it was just kind of like it was a click when you moved to the suburbs and was like, oh well, now I see things differently?
It was definitely, I feel like the city has a lot to do with it, because what I was doing was trying to bring what I know to be comfortable in home, right, which is Manhattan, somewhere into the environment which I was. So we purchased a mid-century modern home, which was in its purest state. So think of the Brady Bunch.
Okay.
As you enter the door, I mean, everything was orange, was wood panels everywhere, and it took me about 4 months to just refresh the whole space. Marble, black walls, just patterns, just things that I would normally use in my apartment in New York City, and just bringing it into the space, modernizing that old, beautiful structure and updating it, giving a refresher in a modernistic sort of feel.
I like that. So in doing so, I guess the the biggest question is, how did Neffy transcend interior design and become this celebrity interior designer?
I have no idea. I have no I really don't. It was more so me being in my zone, right? And I guess it has a lot to do with Instagram because, again, at the time, although I say suburbs, it's only like 20 minutes from the city, but for me, it seemed like rural Mississippi. But the internet kept me close to all things, right?
Okay.
So I would do something in my kitchen and would take a picture, or, I would keep people updated like, hey, I don't know what I'm doing, but we're going to figure this out together. And then by the end of the day, I'll have like a brand new table, right? And for me, it was more so like a learning experience because I didn't have any formal education on it.
Okay.
I just felt like I had the audacity.
I like that. That's cool.
Right. And the I understood that I had the eye for it, and I just moved along that vibe.
Okay.
Makes sense? So
Yes.
I guess with that, being as authentic as you can have it, because it was my day-to-day, my day-to-day with my kids, my day-to-day in my home, that turned into, hey, that looks great. How can I get that in my home, right? Okay, well, it would cost this much. And then client after client after client. But till this day, with the exception of like media, I've never really done any advertising. Like all my client base is word of mouth.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's the best though.
It
Best type of marketing.
It is. And I would like to think that my vibe is comfortable for people, so it allows me to go into their spaces, because your home is very intimate.
Oh, for sure.
You know what I'm saying? And you have to trust a person's viewpoint along with yours to execute a nice, loving space for you to live in.
So now my mind is like scrambling because there's so many questions I want to ask you. But so you said something where. So my next question actually I was gonna ask you, like, do you think that interior designing is an art or do you think it's a skill? But now I'm thinking about it the way you're saying it and depicting it is like, do you think it's a lifestyle,
Absolutely.
or it's a combination of all three?
You have to have skill in order to execute, right? You have to have an artful eye in order for the taste to translate.
Okay.
Right? And then with those two combined, that creates the lifestyle. Because if you don't know how to execute your thoughts, or if you don't have any thoughts to execute, you can't build anything for you to live in the lifestyle in which you would like to live in, right?
Okay.
So I would say it's a combination of the two that create the third, which is the lifestyle aspect of it. Does that make sense?
It does. I didn't think about it that way.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you are walking into a client's house, right? What's the first thing that you look for, or I guess walk us through your process in terms of creating I agree with you. Like in my apartment, I need functionality. Like my brain, my vibe, my whole mood functions off of what my space looks like. Otherwise, I feel like I have mental blocks, if that makes sense, right? So like when you walk in, and let's say, for example, I'm a client, like how do you work alongside with your clients in terms of you having most of like the creative say, but also trying to satisfy their idea, and then like what elements do you look for in a space?
So I'm going to say something that I think a lot of designers don't say out loud.
Okay.
I always walk in thinking that I have all creative ideas in mind to execute. But most clients, I know I do, but most clients become interior designers.
That's what I'm saying.
In the space. So it's more so with respect about managing expectations,
Okay.
right? And I do understand that it is their home, right? So I am hired to make sure that they feel comfortable in the way that they feel like they would live best, right?
Okay.
And it's also my job to show them how to expand on that,
Okay.
right? So the best way to do that is to always have a conversation. So I just don't take anybody as a client, right? I have to feel like I vibe with you
Okay.
as a person, right? I have to understand your likes, your dislikes, how you deal with certain things. Are you do you have an A-type personality? Because that might not mesh
Work.
here,
Yeah.
because A-type makes me feel like, okay, this might be micromanaged, which hurts the creative part of it,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I need to know all of that. So I typically find that out during like dinner or lunch, just a regular conversation, right? And then if we agree to move forward, then it becomes, okay, this is your space. Your space is amazing, right? What makes you happy? What kind of clothing do you wear,
Mm-hmm.
right? What is your favorite color that makes you feel comfortable? What is a favorite color that makes you feel uneasy, right? So it's like these, what they might think are odd questions that makes me understand what is the core of who you are
Mm-hmm.
as a creative person or lack thereof, that can get me to add to that the functionality for the household. Does that make
It
sense?
does.
Right? So if I know, like, going back to what you said, you need a like a clean space or else you can't function, that would be a conversation that we have. So if I know that you don't function well, or you're creative and you get stifled, every time, your clothes are in the corner because this is just what you do, then oh, okay, great. So I know to have a hamper in the corner, or some kind of organization that you can habitually
Mm-hmm.
put your things in, so it's still what you're used to, but just away, and then you still have this space that looks clean.
Yeah.
Makes sense? So
Yeah.
that way you're able to, like, go on with your life. So I create functionality, form, creativity, all with the understanding of being in your own safe space.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. So
Mm-hmm.
it's way more nuanced than how, I guess, people find it, interior design, simple. Like, obviously it's complex, but they think it's just very simple. If someone comes in, sees a space,
Mm-hmm.
boom. But you're incorporating people's emotions,
Mm-hmm.
mindset, and then making their home or whatever the space, that canvas,
Mm-hmm.
work.
Yeah, work for them.
But I mean, where do you see? Okay, so you're saying it works for them, but for you, where do you get your kind of satisfaction? Is it like pleasing the client, or like where do you see the pockets of your creativity being placed in there as well?
So the client understands I just have a certain aesthetic.
Mm-hmm.
So you will not hire me if you want a beachy California looking home.
Okay.
My brain doesn't do that, right? Or if you wanted some kind of boho psychedelics, my brain does not do that, right? My brain does classic, modern, clean canvases, right? So we start with the color palette, right? And with that color palette, it allows me to still be in my rooted design elements and offer that to the client. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah, so that it makes me happy, because at the end of the day, it will still look like my aesthetic,
Mm-hmm.
because we'll work with marbles, or we'll work with certain tiles, or we'll have Moroccan, feel, inside the space, or like we'll do all of that, but for the client.
That's,
So it's like a
that's
win-win.
dope. No, that's really dope.
Yeah.
Because now I'm thinking about it. I would never have known that. Like, you think about painters, some people paint on oil and canvas, they paint on acrylic, or you see people like, I'll only paint when there's a full moon out, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but I didn't know stylistically from an interior design standpoint, that's kind of giving us more perspective on that, and I appreciate that.
For me,
Yeah,
as a creative.
which means that like it's so many different styles.
Yeah. Everybody has their process,
Yeah.
but that works for me.
What challenges do you typically face?
Uh,
I'll preface it by saying like real day to day, like behind the scenes challenges. For example, we did a segment with a muralist, and it looks so simple of them being on like machines and painting, but she was saying like sometimes we have to account for wind, and I have to paint with the wind and wait until so like any of the challenges that you can kind of describe where we wouldn't necessarily understand, like for me I would say like maybe trying to find a specific item, but I'm sure it's so much more complicated than that.
I don't have challenges.
Okay.
Like I just don't. I am a solution-based person.
Okay.
So if something looks like, it might be challenging, I easily pivot and find a solution that's synonymous to what it is that I wanted. Like, so I make sure that everyone around me has the same sort of like cool feel, right?
Okay.
So all of my contractors, coolest dudes you've ever met. Everybody's even tempered, everybody's just cool, solution based, right? So we don't really go through too many issues where we can't get something done.
Okay.
Because there's always someone in the team that will calm whatever fire was about to happen with the solution.
Okay.
And I think that's part of what makes us as a firm great, because we get things done much quicker than a lot of other companies might, just because of the way that we move quickly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Better question for you then. Do you ever get like a creative block?
Yes, all the time.
And what do you do in those moments to?
I take a nap. I take a nap. I go to therapy. So like
It's
I have
healthy.
I go to personal therapy. I go couples therapy. I have a business coach.
Nice.
So I know that I'm the type of person I need to talk things through, right? Sometimes I need to talk things through and get like a feedback. Sometimes I just need to talk things through to just get it out of my head, so that way I remove the block.
Okay.
When it continues, then I know I need a trip.
Okay.
Seriously.
No, I'm with you.
Yeah.
I just came back from Dubai. I needed a recharge.
There we go. Yeah,
so.
like it's a real thing for me. I used to feel like it was just me acting like super no. I need to get on a plane. I actually do my best work on a plane, or like in travel, in a car, like in travel. My best thoughts come during those times. So I'll take like a 3-day, go get some new food, look at some colors, some architecture. I recently went to, where did I go? Detroit. And I had like a full walkthrough with the city of Detroit.
Nice.
And I just learned so many new things, stayed in this awesome hotel. Like, it was great. I came back and I was like, boom, let's go.
I like that.
Yeah. That's my unblock.
Okay. That's healthy.
Yeah.
Absolutely. In terms of your current work, how do you want, whether it be clients or like a general audience, to perceive your work? Like, what message are you trying to get across? And then it's 2-part. What's next for that vision at scale?
Oh. I always want to be synonymous with blackness.
Okay.
All black everything, right?
I'm with you.
Yeah. I want when people think of the black home, that they think of warm, safety, right? When they walk in here, they feel like this is their rich auntie's home, right? It's a nostalgia.
Okay.
Right? Although everything is new and modern, but it's just like everything in here would be a real kiki for somewhere inside of my home, right?
Okay.
So I always want them to feel like this the space and our firm is designed totally with them in mind.
Okay.
Right? So that's one. And then the trajectory of it is to have the black home in urban cities prior to gentrification and root. So like right now we're in Newark, right? I'm from Harlem. I could have did this real easy in Harlem. Real easy, right? Newark,
Just the spot though.
a lot more difficult, right? Because it's the walkability is not there, right? And the city is in the precipice, right? So the precipice of what? We don't know, right? It takes people rooting to like create that narrative, right? So
Absolutely.
our plans are Newark, Detroit, Baltimore,
You got to be in Atlanta too.
Atlanta, Chicago,
Okay.
and then we stop.
All right.
Those are the plans.
Obviously, like we look at, and rest in peace to Virgil, but you know he was an engineer, and instead of building buildings, and I think the stat is crazy, it's like only 11% of engineers build buildings or something along the lines of that. But his canvas became clothing. You went from designing spaces for people to owning a retail shop, and so obviously this is somewhat becoming a different canvas for you. Walk us through what made you shift into, okay, well, I want to own a retail shop for consumer goods.
It was simple. So, as I said before, I have 4 children. My youngest at the time was 7, and I was traveling way too much for clients.
Okay.
And I felt mom guilt.
Okay.
And it was stressing me out. So I was trying to figure out how can I be my authentic self in a space and offer what I do non-celebrity, right?
Okay.
For like everyday folk. And the only thing I could think of was sell products, sell merchandise. And at first we started with our candle line, and we did that online, right? And hugely successful, and I'm so happy about it. But I was bored because I like people and I like to talk. I can talk all day if you let me,
Okay.
right? So I felt like there was missing the element of like real conversation, real customer service when you go into stores. I know when I go into stores for my clients, a lot of times like I'm dressed like this, I have on my kicks.
You got to be cozy.
I'm just kicked back, and salespeople do not ask me if I need something. They don't think that I'm there to shop, right? So it doesn't make me feel comfortable and inviting.
Okay.
So I wanted to have a home that felt like my home growing up with my mom, right? Or how people feel when they enter my home. So when you come through the black home doors, you feel like, oh, okay, this is familiar, you know? Or maybe you didn't have that and you're like, I really like the way that this feels. And that's before you start buying stuff, right? So the goal was always people and people connection, right? And giving people good service and good customer service, and allowing people to befriend each other at events that you have, and having people commune, right? So for me, it went from how do I stop traveling so much so I can be here with my kid to, okay, this is really something here, and this can be great, not just for myself, you know, monetary wise, but for like the community. It's a community-based space. It's a conduit between the new and the old. Because again, gentrification is coming.
Always.
Right? But it's just like who is rooted into these spaces to be able to make that culture thrive and be understood in the midst of a possible ratification of the culture, right? Or to be able to allow the newness to respect what's here of the culture. You get what I'm saying? Because like if there's a black home or a clothing, my best friend's next door, a clothing store next door, then that's less of a Starbucks.
Mm-hmm. Or a
Pilates
chain.
gym.
A chain that's just
Yogurt place. You know what I'm saying?
I
Like
get
it,
you.
like,
What?
which are all good and they're great, but in black rooted cities,
Mm-hmm.
there has to be some stain. Again, and it is very personal to me because I came from a place where I saw Harlem
Harlem, not Harlem.
is not Harlem, right? Like there are more Italian restaurants than there are soul food restaurants.
Mm-hmm.
It's wild and wicked to me, and I didn't see that coming, and I didn't understand how strong of a shift it was, and I didn't understand who let that shit happen the way that it did. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So I'm just trying to like do my part
for sure.
in these cities to like keep that culture going and thriving.
No, I appreciate that. I was born here in Newark, New Jersey. My family is from Newark, New Jersey, so
Okay.
I've seen the changes. A lot of positive, but also it puts you in a mindset of like what it could be. Like what you're saying, is it going to be like a Whole Foods at every block and a Trader Joe's, or is it still going to represent the culture that's been here, right? And so, I guess for you, and by the way, I'm pretty sure, like when I found out about the Black Home, I was like, wow, we Newark needs something like that. But
Appreciate that.
of course, how do you feel like you're inspiring people in this community? Like to either take up an art, or how do you think that we can make more people of our community become interior designers or step into artistic lanes that aren't traditional to what we typically would fall into?
By just being my authentic self, or that person's authentic self, and allowing someone to see in real time what that looks like, right? So I remember during the summertime, there was a group of girls that came here. They were the cutest ever, right? They had to have been 10 years old, 10th grade, right? Came through the doors, chilling, and the woman in charge was like, so this is Neffi Walker, and this is the Black Home. And they said, oh, this is nice, you work here? And I was like, no. And the woman corrected, no, she owns this. And they're like, I don't understand, what do you mean? She was like, no, she owns the store. How does she own the store? I'm confused. So I was just like, why are you confused? She's like, well, I just never saw a black woman. And then she was like, wait, are you black? And I said, yeah, I am, right? She was like, I just never saw a black woman that owned a store so large. And I was just like, okay, all right. And then as we continued the conversation, they were confused again. Well, what do you mean interior design? What is that? What exactly is that? So as I explained it, girl was like, so wait a minute, hold up. So they pay you to come in their house and with their money, and you just go shopping? So I was like, yeah. She was just like, oh my God, you get paid for that? I was like, yeah. She was like, girl, I'm going to become an interior designer. And I was just like, okay, just by being authentically me, right? That's what it is. There was this other girl who went to like a pop-up, so we did these pop-ups.
I was going to ask you
Yeah,
about that.
prior, just like researching the space, right? Do I want to go to Montclair, where again I feel like super easy, right? Or do I want to route, like, is Newark ready for something like this? So we did 2 years, 2 pop-ups. First year we had 600 people come through. Told everybody 2 weeks prior. Second year we had 1,300 people come through to this pop-up, right? It was just it's this, but a pop-up. It was curated to the T, right? During that time, because I talk to anybody, right? I had a conversation with a young girl. She reminded me of this recently, right? She came to another event that we did here in the space, and she said, I just want to let you know, I appreciate you very much because you had a conversation with me during a pop-up. I'm now about to graduate from Keene University with my degree in interior design.
That's
I was
beautiful.
like, Oh my God, that is so cool. So it's just being your authentic self and just staying in your lane.
Mm-hmm.
Like you never really know who that affects or who that can benefit. And I'm very reachable.
Mm-hmm.
So if anyone ever needs like an idea or, you know, anything, like I'm here. Like we're all here.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, I mean, we have the store in the background. Talk to us a little bit more about like, the artistic design of the store.
So
All the things that make it
cool.
what it is.
Yeah. So okay. So here we have 7 vendors,
Mm-hmm.
Black or Latinx vendors, occupy the space, micro businesses,
Mm-hmm.
right? Within the scope of what it is that we curate as well, right? The point is for them to gain marketing, because we market. I mean, I have a pretty good network, right? So by posting or having it, displayed, it showcases who they are as their own individual company. Or if like you come through, or we had a House Beautiful come through, and I happened to have 2 of the vendors here, so they were able to speak on video about what they do personally, and I feel like that sense of community inside the space is like golden.
Yeah.
Right? Because even with me, with my candle products, which are amazing,
I got 2 of them.
Thank you. But it's hard getting into spaces like Neiman Marcus
Mm-hmm.
or Bloomingdale's. Like it's hard. So I wanted this space to be a space where it's not that hard, right? And we can rotate that and we can expose that. So that's an important part of the space in its entirety. Everything in here is a section of your home. So we have bedding. We're about to have children and puppies and dogs and pets and things.
I need that.
Yeah. We have bedroom, skincare.
Everything's
everything.
for sale, right?
Everything is for sale. Everything is for sale, except for one table, because I brought that from home.
Okay. But it's interesting because, you've spent a chapter of your life designing things for other people, and in this space where it's technically your space to design it freely, you're reverse engineering the interior design and designing it for other people to highlight them.
Yes.
So it's not even about you, it's more so about the other artist that you're trying to push.
Yes.
So it's and for you, interior design is bigger than the art. It's more of a community.
Everything is community for me.
Okay.
Everything, because if we don't help each other, then what is life? Like, what's the point?
For sure.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Let's just talk specifically for interior design.
Okay.
Like, let's say you design my home,
Mm-hmm.
right? Do you feel like you're forming an everlasting bond, knowing that, like, with your clients, or are you okay with that piece of art that you just created changing?
Oh, well, I mean, interior design is how you feel, right? So you might feel right now, I'm a bachelor. This is great, and I'm a plant dad, and we're gonna do this big time, right? And in 3 years from now, you might have grown and feel a totally different way. It's okay to change your environment, because the environment, the design process of the environment is for the person to feel loved, secured, and elevated in their own space, right? Okay. So I do feel happy, right, that I am given these moments to be able to transform and help someone through their day-to-day, right? So on the ego, my ego says, that's pretty fly, right?
Okay.
That I am in this environment. But then my heart says, that's really fly that I'm in this environment and that you chose me to be able to do this for you. You know what I'm saying? So, yes, I think the piece of the art and the design portion of it always makes me feel like this is an everlasting friendship,
Mm-hmm.
right? I have the same friends from like third grade.
That's a solid circle. Trust.
And it's a lot of them, right? Like I'm going to say it again. I'm a people person,
Mm-hmm.
right? And communication is key. So I am forever cool with my clients unless something crazy happened, right? And then even with that, the communication is still cool. It's just, some things are not good. Some things are best to move on,
Mm-hmm.
right? But that goes for anything. And more so, I think that the art and the design of the home, I do feel good that it stays with the person until they deem fit to change it again. And hopefully our friendship is good enough that they call me to change it
for
the second and the third time.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
No, I like that because we gotta think about it from a perspective like not all art is everlasting.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Some of it is fleeting.
Yeah.
And in those moments, how do you cherish the work that you've created and how do you want it to be appreciated?
Mm-hmm.
I guess is the biggest thing I was trying to get at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Bedrooms make babies.
Yeah, I mean,
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like dining rooms create communication. They make loving places for food and nourishment, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's deeper. Like when you think about
Definitely.
the fact that our ancestors were enslaved,
Mm-hmm.
right? And where they called home, and what does that look like, right? And it's just like to be able to say that I'm able to help my ancestors, like spiritually live in these places,
Mm-hmm.
right? That they weren't able to because of whatever they went through, right? It's deeper
Yeah.
than just the art. It's like it's a responsibility.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. I guess if I know you mentioned obviously from like the community aspect and being authentic and that's like the best thing you can do when approaching certain things, but if you, for anyone that's listening or watching, if you had to touch someone specifically, if it was just one person, right, that wanted to dabble in interior design, what is the first piece of advice you would give them?
Just start.
Just go in.
Just start. Like, if you want to dabble in interior design, start with the surroundings around you, right? See how you feel about changing your bed. See how you feel about changing your towels. Just start, right? Because again, I didn't have any background at first. I just started. And I allowed my vibe to see how far I can push myself in a creative field, right? In the creative space. And I felt like for me, that always worked. And I feel like a lot of people get stuck on being stuck.
Yeah, I mean, that's the majority of the world.
Yeah. Or the fear of what if I, or the fear of. So I tell a lot of people, you can't see fear. So unless you're going to put fear on the same level as God, then you kind of need to like kill it, right? And instead of telling yourself, I don't know if I can, just say, I can do this. This is going to turn out wonderful. This is great.
Yeah.
And then see what that self-talk can do for you when you start a project.
Yeah.
I could do this project. I got this. It's going to be amazing. I'm going to have a good day. I know it sounds stupid.
No, but it
works.
Affirmations.
Yeah, it works. Like just start. You can start a certificate class if you really want to like start with the basics. But I really honestly feel like just being in the world and adding to it in some sort of way and going through bloopers and messing up and figuring it out sometimes is the best recipe.
Just putting all that together, though, I guess, what do you think? I know we talked about it like at scale, like that gap, but even before that, what do you think differentiated you from just like the rest of the pack?
I don't know. There's a large pack here,
Yeah.
right? There are a lot of Black and Hispanic interior designers.
And now, when you say it's a lot, is
Mm-hmm.
it a lot in terms of here's a pool of everyone and maybe like 19% of them are Black and interior designers? Or are you saying like in retrospect to white designers, Asian designers, or if there's a lot of Black and Latin designers?
I know off the top of my head 20 that I could reference with the quickness, right? They're my community, my colleagues.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really compare. So in my mind, there is 10% Black to the majority of white or whomever else. No, we're amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bunch of us, right? There are a lot of Black designers doing their thing out there. And I feel like we all really like support and champion each other. It's like my brain.
As you should.
Yeah. Like I don't, we're out here.
I didn't mean it from like Black designers. I just meant interior designing in general. Like, what separated you from just anybody calling a Joe Schmo to I need Neffy, not this person here?
Oh, that's a good question too. I really don't know. I think maybe it's the aesthetic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or I'm just really, maybe I'm very convincing.
Okay.
Maybe it's that. I really don't know why one chooses me to help them with their space. I'm grateful. I'm thankful that they do, right? But it works well for me. So I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great question. I think I'm gonna start asking people. Just
why you choose me?
Yeah, like what's like, talk to me. Why this? But I really think it is the aesthetic.
Okay.
Yeah. I think I have a kick-ass way of like conceptualizing spaces. I own that. Like I can say that.
Okay.
Proudly.
And you're
right?
meticulous.
I'm very detail oriented. So I think that shows through my work.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to, give you the floor if you wanted to say anything that was on your mind specifically. Wanted to talk anything about the interior design realm, any shout outs or anything.
Well, I'm very thankful.
Thank you so much for
doing
this for us.
This is cool because you know how we had this conversation.
I know.
I don't talk too much.
This is a rare a rare segment.
But I do appreciate it. And I just feel like, the past couple of years have been so hard on us, everybody, that I'm just hoping that 2022 is so much better for everyone.
I'm praying.
Yeah.
But I'm low expectations, high reward.
Okay. That's how you roll?
That's how I'm just looking at it right now.
Okay. Yeah. I manifest. So I'm like, everybody's going to get a bag.
Oh, that's going to happen. But
everybody's going to be at peace. Like, I'm just hoping, like, I know that this is a shout out, like promote myself segment, but I really feel like we have just had a difficult ass time. And I just want everybody to know that, like creating a space in your home.
And you did this during the pandemic.
I
right?
did.
You got to mention that.
Man, I was talking to somebody about that earlier today. I signed my lease February 1st. This damn Rona came 30 days later. I was like, what is happening right now? So where I was supposed to open up June that year turned into a whole mess.
But you did it though.
I did.
So
I did.
That's important.
Yeah, I have a strong team too, and a wonderful.
Me too.
Support. Yeah, hey guys. I have a wonderful support. So it wasn't just me alone, but yeah. We start.
Mm-hmm.
We start, we do.
Okay.
We start, we do. We figure it out, and then we're successful. And that's what I put out into the universe. And that's just, it is what it is.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, appreciate you.
Same.
You know, I'm gonna probably go buy something right after this. So. This has been Look, Don't Touch. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you, Neffy, for letting us do this segment in your beautiful canvas of a store.
You're welcome.
And we look forward to seeing what you have in the future.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.